Well, I really enjoy this program today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
May God bless every person.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us here in this edition of Talk Today. We got a special opportunity to speak to someone. Many must say, hey, he's a special fellow. MLA, Mr. Bernie Bush, comes back in the studio with us. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. And please, allow me to extend a very warm welcome back to MLA, Mr. Bernie Bush. Bernie, it's always a pleasure to laugh with you. And something that we were sharing earlier. You like seeing today as you was when you were younger growing up playing sports. And maybe in 100 years' time when we start to get older, we'll still be the same. Young, energetic, helpful, and handsome.
Well, the handsome part don't apply to myself, but there are others I will take.
Don't worry, man. They say, it only goes to the bone,
Yes, that's true. So beauty is a fading flower, but ugliness is to the bone. Now people know why I walk with a limp.
I tell you, man. But the idea that, as we were chatting earlier, if you let me, as we get into our discussion, somewhat embrace life. That spirit of thanksgiving, that spirit of joy, and not just being jubilant and not being, as some people say, you got to be careful when you smile. People mightn't assume that, you are grateful. They may think you're, what they say, the old people say, that they're grin teeth fool. You have to embrace life and give thanks, right?
Definitely, no doubt about that. And when you tell people it's nice to see you, it's literally, I am really happy to see you. Well,
it is something that you think of that first-time college student, or even the child that goes away to boarding school otherwise. They get to appreciate Cayman. They get to miss the simple little things. And then when they come home for the first time, you see that gleam in their eyes. It may be after 6 weeks and they get the first break. Some may go the full year before they come back, and it's only the summer that they see Cayman and they see all the things. They don't complain about the heat. The little things that used to annoy them before, they embrace. That level of love and appreciation. It's kind of like life,
Yes. And thinking about that part where you said when you come home, the funny thing is I've heard so many people say, when does it start feeling that way? As you hit the Cayman Airways counter in Miami, as you feel, I'm home.
Yeah, man.
You're almost there, and especially when you see like Marlon and those people, it really makes you feel good.
Yeah, man. When I used to fly out of Tampa more, so Joe and Lou were the two, and they treated you like you were their sons or nephews, in a sense, right?
Joe's a nice old man.
Yeah, they would help you, and it wasn't that they did anything improper, all right? They knew the students who were coming back, and if there were particular exams, you would see them taking the books and helping you with them. And one time, Mr. Joe looked at you and said, "But this will be a Christmas break. What are you carrying here? It's not yams or cassava."
No, he didn't know you needed yours to prop up the bed and the chair to make it a little bit taller to help you with your height.
You know what? I know you are friends in this place, but I got to call them, tell them to take you out, man. But Bernie, as you come on and you speak from the perspective of one, being actively involved in the community from day one, being, that sort of stalwart father, not just to your own, but to many of the youngsters as we grew up, to being an elected member of the Legislative Assembly, and now to maybe take on another role. Who knows where this will take us? Well, as you reflect on the last couple of weeks, the last few years, life to date, sometimes we get pensive. Some of us actually get philosophical.
Yeah. Especially certain things in life can affect you in certain ways.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but Dwayne, you're right. But it's one thing that I've proven. I should say two things. There's a God above.
I believe that.
And number two, goodness does follow goodness.
I would say good follows good, yeah?
Yes, and those are two things that I will preach anyway, to any place I go, anywhere I go, anytime, and that is do good, be good. Well, the being good is another story. Depends what you call being good.
Well, thank you for correcting that.
Because some people say that if you go and you jump in the carnival or you're being bad. But someone like myself who don't drink, who don't smoke, or nothing like that, I love dancing.
Yeah.
So, but you do good for others, and believe you me, it does. Sometimes and when you do the right thing and do the good thing, you don't necessarily look for get something in return. But where I first noticed it was goodness coming back to my children, and now I've seen it come back tenfold to myself.
Good follows good.
Yes.
And it comes back to, like you said, it may not come back to you immediately or directly, but it comes back to those you care about, your children specifically. I think that's part of the reason why our parents and grandparents prayed, if not so much with, certainly prayed for their children. And whether people look at this discussion and get offended, well, instead of tuning out, tune in. Appreciate that life has a lot to offer, you know.
Correct. And we're going to be talking about health more or less.
Yeah.
And I think people should listen carefully, especially to those of us who have gone through certain things.
What they say, you don't miss the sun until it rains, right?
Correct.
Now, with that and with health, and I'll ask you both as a father, as a friend, but also as a parliamentarian. If what I say now is political, guide me. But I say this with a sense of clarity and conviction that the pillars in any society,
God,
okay,
education,
yeah,
and health.
there you go.
It's something that you and I have always talked from 2000. We've always talked about that.
Yeah, you know, and it's not like you say that you don't sin or that you don't, you know, have these thoughts and these aspirations and these things, but if you have a grounding and that centers you, then you are able then to move forward. Even if you do wrong, at least you're consciously aware that you're doing wrong. Now, with God at the center, and you focus on these other two things, I've had a friend who was, you know, in engineering school and architecture and doing those things, and he said, okay, I'm trying to do a project, so I want you to do something for me. I'm going to give you this thing first. I want you to do your best to stand, sit, balance on it somehow. So it had a, you know, horizontal surface and two vertical pieces, like a table chair like. And if you were somewhat skilled, you could stand and balance and wobble and so on. He said, okay, I want to take that away and add one more piece. And it had three legs, like how much easier it was. So I apply that to whether it's a structure, whether it's the economy, or whether it's your relationship with your family, you know, with your business partner, even with yourself. Right? Where two or more are gathered. That's grounding. So, with that in mind, health. I mean, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What can we do better? Give us your perspective now that you have had this chance to reflect.
Well, first make me start by saying something. The Honorable McKeever Bush took a lot of flack. And I wasn't in politics then, and took a lot of hits for Health City. And I want to publicly tell him thanks, because I know I'm sitting here today, strong, feeling the best I've felt in donkey years, because of God and Health City. And also, I'm going to give credit to Emergency at HSA. And I went in there just to visit some friends, but just something that I've done over the years. Having, it's 1979, started to take children who break their toes, break their fingers, break their legs into emergency. Myself and the emergency sector of the HSA have a very good relationship. Dr. Liz McLaughlin, she's heading that section. For the whole that section, people can say what they want to say. I have nothing but good to say about that section, and I'm going to say even more now, because right now I'm helping pay for taekwondo classes for children at West Bay Primary. And the evening before, one of the kids said, "Boy, you look tired." And then when I got there that night to look for two of the guys that I know they're very well, And they said, what happened to you? I said, nothing, I just come to heal up Campbell and Dougie, but she looked tired. And I said, well, you know, I'm tired because I haven't been sleeping good for a while. And lately I've been having to take a lot of Nexium because I got a burning stomach. They said, let's do ECG on you then. Let's check you in and do an ECG. I said, don't need to check me in. And I said, I did my medical in March. Besides being overweight, cholesterol slightly high, and being ugly, I'm in good shape. And so Dr. Gardner took over from Dr. Turner, who I was talking to Turner because I knew her. And Dr. Gardner took the ECG and she said, it's good, looks very good. She said, make me take some blood. And I was kind of rough, kind of odd her a little bit because I don't like giving blood. I mean, I have an aversion to needles. She said, come on, stop your foolishness. Make me take some blood. Right there was the first step in a miracle. Because keep in mind, I'm having no shortness of breath. I'm having no pains. I'm not having any of the so-called symptoms of any problems with the heart attack or whatever.
And you're not there for yourself.
No.
You just come in.
I kind of half went in there. Mm-hmm. So she says, make me get these results back and then you can go home or go wherever you're going. And when it came back, she said to me, Mr. Bush, because it's the first time I met Dr. Gardner, and she was the first person I went and saw when I left Health City. And she said to me, these enzymes don't seem to be in the right place. We're going to relax for 2 or 3 hours. We're going to run the test again. And she 3 hours, she took the blood again. She came back. She said, we're sending you Health City. Right there again. I've heard complaints that people go to HSA and the egos of certain doctors do not want to pass them on to Health City. Now, I will not sit here today and argue about anything else except the heart section. Mm-hmm. I'm going to, because you're not supposed to argue what you don't know.
Right.
And I'm going to argue the heart. We don't have that type of specialist in the HSA. There shouldn't be any discussion, any argument. If any doctor finds anything wrong with any Caymanian's heart, and I can tell any Caymanian this, they don't have to leave this country to go anywhere again, not for heart. Because they sent me up there, and it's not an A that I would give Health City. I would give them an A+, or A++. Dr. Benoit, his staff, Shamari, they all. And something I noticed when I was up there, and one of the staff said it to me. I used to coach her in football, know her quite well. She said, you think you're getting this good treatment just because you're an MLA? Are you Bernie Bush? I said, I don't know. She said, well, you're not. Look around for yourself and you'll see everybody gets this treatment. And I observed. And that right there in itself is another thing, that the quality of treatment. And when I would have my close friend, Chris Saunders, came to look for me every day. How he lied his way into, I found it later, my daughter told him that he was family.
Actually, he told me he was your son.
Yes. And Chris even got into the ICU unit. Chris came to look for me every day, and even he sometimes would sit there and he said, my gosh, it's an unbelievable facility, unbelievable quality of work. And another thing, once again, we get back to that word again, God. Dr. Benoit and that staff up there, they're godly people. They all believe in God. They all believe in prayer. They all believe, and they're not going to be up there pumping other stuff into your head. And I'm sitting here today, I'm a living miracle. I'm convinced of that. Yeah. Because every test they ran, they couldn't find anything wrong. ECG, echocardiogram. And this is what I'm going to tell the country out there. To me, most medicals can go a little deeper, especially check out your heart. And I believe, and I got a checkup today, and I'm going to confirm if I think it's the stress test, it's the best one, because even when they did the echocardiogram, they didn't see any blocked arteries. It wasn't until they went in through my vein. I'm awake. I'm watching on television, and you see this man with this little, look like Nintendo machine, and he's going up into your heart, and you're seeing all this stuff up, and then you look and you see it, And he says, I found 4 blocked arteries. Now, you heard about triple bypass and quadruple bypass, which is 3 and 4. He says, I got 1 blocked at 100%, 3 blocked at over 90%. No other test showed it until he went up through my wrist. And because I'm going to be preaching health and heart to my country, to my people, anyone, because I felt no symptoms. I felt none of the things that lead to a heart attack. The enzymes, there's something that's in your blood, were elevated. And every time I took the test, they were just a minute bit higher, which means I was on my way to one, possibly. When they went and did this, and I said to the doctor, I said, if it was you or your parents, what would you do? Would you do stents? He said, no, I would do the bypass. Because then when you finish, you're brand new and you're stronger than ever. When they went into my heart, went into my chest, they found 7 blocked arteries. 7. You don't tell me I'm not a walking miracle? And 2 weeks before, I played football in a match for a church league. Running up and down, never felt anything. The only complaint I've had lately is I am not sleeping good. That's all. So, and because of this now, my whole lifestyle has changed. Spiritually, mentally, physically, the way you eat, the way you look at food, everything now is, and one of the most important is exercise. So, and it's, a lot of things helped that when they got into my heart, there wasn't any scarring, wasn't any nothing. He said my heart's in wonderful shape. And I'm going to tell the people out there, give up. And if you're smoking, give it up. If you're drinking alcohol on a regular basis, give it up.
Bernie, when we come back, let's talk more. Thank you so much for not just being so candid and so willing to share, but as you said, to invite the public to look at health as our wealth. For those who are listening, yes, we're speaking to MLA Bernie Bush, but we're also respectfully speaking to Bernie Bush, a guy that we play football with, make fun of, who's teased us, who, Bernie, if we don't start to value, as you said, health as our wealth, then where are we as a nation? So as we invite people to share, let's talk some more when we come back.
No problem.
All right. Please stay tuned for Talk Today. Give us a call if you so choose.
Kia Soul passes it to Kia Sportage. Sportage makes a stylish move over to the sleek Optima. Optima then flicks it across to the 7-seat Sorento. Sorento heads it. Goal! Kia!
It's time to score with the entire 2018 Kia lineup at GT Motors. Get up to $3,000 cash back. The first 50 customers will score a World Cup replica football and mascot. Hurry, it's the best thing that's happened to car buyers all year. The 2018 Kia clearance sale, only at GT Motors on Godfrey Nixon Way. Kia, driving football fever.
CUC advises customers in Mount Pleasant and the Shores areas in West Bay that they will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Friday, June 22nd between 9 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Areas affected include all customers on Meadow Avenue, Broca Close, Up the Hill Road, Coppice Lane, Glade Drive, Bonneville Drive, Adonis Drive, Shorelink Terrace, Bayshore Drive, Shorescape Lane, Shorewinds Trail, Shoreview Point, Shoreline Drive, and Shoreline Circle. Motorists are asked to drive with caution when utilizing these roads, as CUC will have a number of vehicles and personnel in this area. CUC apologizes for this interruption, which is necessary to facilitate the upgrading of lines and poles to provide access for telecommunication companies offering high-speed fiber to customers in these areas. For more information on the outage and streets affected, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
When it comes to illegal guns in Cayman, you have two choices. Either face 7 to 10 years in prison, or turn in illegal guns in between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 p.m. during the RCIPS firearms amnesty in the month of June. You can bring guns to the police station, confidentially give it to a pastor of your choosing, or anonymously send a tip about where a gun is through Crime Stoppers. Visit us at www.rcips.ky to learn more.
This message is brought to you by the Lions Club of Grand Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. Thanks for joining us. Again, special thanks to MLA Bernie Bush for being in the studio. And if you're tuned in, tell a friend. Because I think, Bernie, this discussion about health and the idea that it has to be your wealth. But equally, as we can do things, and I appreciate you sharing with us now.
You're asking me to. I mean, you've, when you said, look, if it's health, our people don't realize, or enough of us don't take it serious. And you felt that this testimony or this talk would maybe help wake up some people. Listen to me. If only one person listen, that's one more person that we see. That.
Amen, man.
So I have no problem. If it's going to help people, I'll do it. Plus, like I said, I have to give praises to God above. And also a lot of props to that thing called Health City.
Yeah. And the idea that some of us, it's just how we are. We don't talk about certain things. We don't talk about ourselves. We don't talk about our finances. We don't talk about our relationships. We don't talk about our families. We don't certainly talk about our finances and our health. I mean, geez. But yet there are people, and thankfully you're one of them, who can talk about certain things. It carries credibility, it carries weight, it carries influence. And he who, feels it knows it, right? And if you can share with us to get us to appreciate that health and wellness so that we can initially maybe look after that prevention better than cure. And then if something has happened, not to lose hope, all right? You shared with me, and if you're so inclined, you want to share publicly about, your exercise and your approach. I mean, share, man.
I mean, okay, I had surgery last week, Wednesday. It started at 6 in the morning, finished at 6 in the evening. And Thursday night, they made me walk. Friday, walk 3 or 4 times. It was maybe the length of the room and back with a walker. And I've got some people around me, like my daughter-in-law, who went and designed a walker that got siren, blowhorn, everything on top of it. So she pimped my walker. And
she's an incredible lady, Bernie.
Those are the people around you. Those are the people around you that makes it all worth it. And even there's another gentleman who the country knows quite well, Dick Christensen, who had something like, he passed out up there on the table 10 times, he said. And he's a Christian now. And Dick walked in, and some people wouldn't appreciate this. If you know me good, you know I like teasing troubled people. He walked in, he says, which graveyard did you choose in West Bay? This was before the surgery. But then it was good because I'm laughing. Then I had Miss Elsa. Miss Elsa showed up there. And when I was walking, I saw her there. I didn't realize it was me. But she was waiting on, and she came and she showed me the scar on her chest. She said, I did it 2 years ago. You could be all right. And when I came to, her card was one of the first cards that was there for me. So I can't wait to see her again. And when you get someone to take time out of their schedule, an elderly retired lady to come and look for me, everything was reinforcement. But it's one thing that I've learned and talked into Dr. Beno and his staff up there. And they explain everything to you. If God has blessed you, that you're, I'd like to take time out. Sterling, you do the job.
No, listen. If it wasn't that I was, raised with a sense of respect and decency, I would say, look what comes in,
Look what a dog dragged in.
But as I expected, someone that some of us call as friend, others say, well, as Mr. Chris Saunders, MLA. Chris, thanks for joining us, man. Thank you for allowing us to be able to sit in and share with Bernie.
Sterling, the amount of times I always end up missing your afternoon show when I'm supposed to be on.
That's an excuse.
No, there's no an excuse. It would take Bernie Bush to literally pull me out. Especially Argentina playing right now, and so much things to do in my constituency.
Well, I gotta tell people what Bernie told me that he told you that why you need to be here. So
well,
I'm not gonna go there.
Even Sean, I think I was a little bit surprised because I had pretty much I had some visits I wanted to get done this week that I was unable to get to because of the CPA conference. So when Bernie had called and asked me to come on. It's hard to tell him no, especially since he's sick. And then was sick and recovering. But what I can say is I have seen literally a change in Bernie. And even the conversations he and I have had prior to his surgery and post his surgery, it goes to show, I mean, really and truly how great God is.
Amen.
You know, and, you know, there are many times in our own culture, in our own society, where we take little things for granted. And, you know, one of the things I've always said is that if you sit down and you speak to most people, whether Caymanian or not, 90% we have in common. But for whatever reason, we only focus on the 10% difference. We amplify the difference, that we forget what it is that we have in common. You know, and I know a lot of people give my colleague from Savannah sometimes a difficult time in terms of his stance, but we need to understand and recognize that the one thing that still truly remains Caymanian is our faith, our belief, you know, our church system, you know, because they have played a very important role in developing our country. And we need to be careful when we see people coming in and trying to attack the very few institutions that we have. I mean, we spend a lot of time building up individuals as opposed to institutions. So the very few institutions that we have, we must protect them. You know what I mean? And so that's why I think it is important for us, and especially Bernie and myself as representative of the people, to represent that view and make sure, you know, that is one institution in Cayman that remains. Because let me tell you something, I have never needed God more in my life than now in politics. Because let me tell you something, every single day, either your faith, your patience, or something get tested with what it is that you have to deal with.
Tested to the max too. You
know, and you just have to just learn to just nod and smile sometimes and keep a lot of things to yourself.
Oh, that penguins, smile and wave, boys, smile and wave.
Yeah. You know, so, you know, and for that reason, you know, when Bernie called me and when he told me some of the stuff that he wanted to get done, you know, I mean, and I said, you know, Bernie, I think this is a great idea, and, you know, you got my support. And matter of fact, I wish I thought of some of those stuff myself. But I guess when you're sitting down in the hospital by yourself, your brain can work. We're not got nobody disturbing you. So he comes out now with a lot of ideas. So my job now is to stay beside him now and see if I can borrow some of them ideas.
Slow me down.
No, and slow you down and grab some of them ideas too.
No, but Sterling, we go back just before Chris came in, and Chris can also speak to this part. When I said, food you eat, you exercise. Chris also went and got his medical a few months ago. He was borderline diabetic.
Listen, 3 things I was borderline, and when the doctor said to me that he was going to give me a medication, I said, listen, I'm already on pressure pills, and at 45, I wasn't taking anything more. I said, tell you what, I'm coming back in 2 months, and then you tell me if you find the same thing. And a good wife, good mother, sister-in-law, sisters, got up 3:50 every morning and started walking like crazy. Went back in 2 months and changed my diet, changed the lifestyle, you know, and you'd be surprised. When I went back, he said, Mr. Saunders, whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
And right there in a nutshell is where I am at now. And that is, and the funny thing about it is I'm not struggling with it. I don't know if it's because of the extreme where I went to having my chest split open, but I am not having no problems fighting the urges for. But my weakness has never been bad food. It's been sweetness. I got a weakness for sweetness.
Sound like a song.
And
you know, and I ain't going there, you know.
Yeah, but it's like even now, they've had to slow me down. Tuesday was a perfect egg. I woke up Tuesday morning. I'm feeling $1 million. I went out and did it's supposed to be a 15-minute walk. I did 20. Came inside, did my stretching, sit and relax, eat my breakfast, listen to some music, just chill out. That evening I felt so good. I went and I did a 15-minute walk. Now yesterday when I reported in, they told me, said, look, go slow. This morning I did my 20 minutes and I left it. They told me 15, but I went 20 because at 20 I find myself just beginning to sweat. And I'm not feeling any lightheadedness. I'm not feeling any tightness in my chest. I'm feeling better, like I want to do more. I have to actually just cool out, stretch down. And it's something that Chris, people don't know where Chris and I have come from. We come back from the first time I jumped into the political arena in 2000. Chris and I it wasn't necessarily out in the public, but Chris was always there looking over my speeches. Take this out or they'll attack you on this. If you word it this way, they can't say anything. And So like he told me one time, he says, we started this journey together. Let us go continue on. When he got elected the first time, he says, we got to go on this journey some more together. And so Chris and I we talk a lot about different things, not just, and a lot of times it's not even politics. It's just the way
kids, family,
the way you do things, the way you look at things. And Chris himself, actually, a couple of years ago, had his back split open.
Oh, boy, listen, that was my come to Jesus moment.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to death's door, it completely changes your outlook, because you realize that many things in life that you focus on, that you thought was important, it's not. And they always say one little exercise that, if the doctor say you got 50 years to live, what would you do? Then they say if you got 25 years, then 10 years, 5 years. And then the narrate keep coming down. And then, like they say, if you have a week to live, or a day to live, what would you want to do that day? And whatever you choose to do on that day is what it is that's important to you. Go focus on that. And when you do that exercise and you realize that, it's your family, your kids and all of that. Because I can tell you, at 45, one of my biggest goals in life is to at least stay healthy enough just to be able to either walk my daughter down the aisle if she ever chooses to, or to give my son advice the day in which he chooses to get married. When you look at your own kids, my firstborn, he's graduating tonight. I'm from St. Ignatius. And, hopefully, God's willing, heading off to college this summer. And when you realize that this boy that was just born the other day, that couldn't even run and look back, and you realize now, big grown.
6'3".
And now, it's just phenomenal. And like I tell you, I'm glad I came from a house with a praying mother. I have an uncle who calls me on a regular basis, George McCarthy, and that is one of the most decent person I've ever met in my entire life. And just the words of encouragement, just, Christopher, I've seen this, I've read this, and, keep doing this, or take a look at this, that wealth of knowledge. And let me tell you, there's another lady in Bordentown I met on the campaign trail. And the thing about it is, which I love about campaigning, you meet people. And when you see, when you meet those people, you can understand why Cayman was successful.
Mm.
We have so much talent in this country.
Yeah.
Day-to-day layman's talent. And I'm a person, I'm very easy, not easy to hold my attention. So you can hold my attention for even 30, 40, 50 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, where I want to go and talk to you to learn something. You trust me.
All right. Chris, when we come back from the break, Bernie, share more with us. I apologize to Ms. Susan. I was engaged in what you guys are saying, not paying attention to her. We got a commercial break. When we come back, more talk today.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs, with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
The talented people, the residents of Cayman shine.
Cayman, get
talent
ready.
Exposition of the arts.
It is here again. The new Self-Help Community Foundation presenting the 17th Annual Talent Exposition of the Arts. Sunday, June 24th at the Harkwell Theater. Enjoy superb performances by Shamika Clark, Rico Rolando, Andrea Rivera, the UCCI Performing Arts, Liana DeCosta, among many others. Hosted by by MCs Andrel Harris and Jevy Ebanks. Part of the proceeds from the talent exposition will go towards the Pines Retirement Home. Prepaid tickets are available at Funky Tangs and Winner's Circle for only $10 or $15 at the gate. The 2018 Talent Exposition of the Arts, 5:30 p.m. Sunday, June 24th at the Hartwell Theater. Get your tickets today.
Every year, this show is put on so you can come out and support local talent.
Would you like to reduce household waste and to save money? Take a look at the many items in your home that can be reused. Food scraps and yard waste make up 25 to 30% of household garbage, but can be composted instead. Reuse glass jars and containers as storage containers. Repair old furniture and appliances where possible. Preserve landfill space and the environment. Reduce, reuse, and recycle. For more information about waste reduction, please visit DEH at deh.gov.ky.
Are you a beneficial owner of an ordinary resident company? If you own 25% or more of the shares, the voting rights, or have control of the board of directors, you are a beneficial owner. This means that by 30th June, government needs you to give them a few details about the ownership of your company. By providing these details, you'll stay on the right side of compliance. Don't worry. Filing with the registry is easy. Just log on to the Cayman Business Portal at cbp.ky and follow the simple steps. Again, visit cbp.ky to file your beneficial ownership information by the 30th of June. For more information, contact cigenreg@gov.ky or help@cbp.ky.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. In the studio, with the company of MLA Bernie Bush, and joining him is his colleague and friend, MLA Mr. Chris Saunders. And gents, I know you are members of the Legislative Assembly, so chances are we can talk about anything you wish, but respectfully, I appreciate the emphasis and focus on health and wellness and the like. We do have a call online. Good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Sterling Dwayne.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I am very good. Good afternoon to your honorable guest.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, sir.
Right. I do have one comment, two questions.
All right.
My first comment would be to Mr. Chris. I was glad to be a part of encouraging your son. And it's good to know that he's actually graduating now. And I think he actually has a nice artistic career ahead of him. Gordon Solomon, the artist here.
Okay, Gordon.
I just want to say and also ask Mr. Bernard, you did mention that those that are smoking and drinking should not consider that anymore. Was that a part of your purpose? Were you a smoker and drinker?
No, sir. I was never a smoker. And I drink, if you call drinking a glass of red wine now and then, drinker, well, that's my extent. Once in a while at Carnival, I would have one or two drinks. But in doing my research and also talking to the gentleman who chopped my chest open, and believe you me, I'm still vexed that so I didn't love the man so much. He told me 4 to 6 inch incision.
3 inches, yeah.
And when I look, it's like 12, 13 inches. But beauty was never my forte anyway. But in talking to him, I said to him, okay, doc, because these people sit down and talk to you and talk about everything. They don't leave any stone unturned. And he says, well, continue to stay far from smoke. And I said, okay, what about drinking a glass of wine with my meal? You've heard all these things over the years, say that this is good. He says, too much of that ain't good for you either. I said, 1 glass of wine a week. He said, maybe. He said, that's not too much. That he says, moderation.
Is always key.
Is our key. Yes, sir. That's why he says, the main thing he says, you make sure every day you get in 30 to 40 minutes exercise, 40 minutes minimum, and you watch what you intake.
At the age, yes, sir.
Okay, yeah.
Well, my final question would be, I would want to add some more, but I just want to change the pace here a bit because we are now witnessing one of our first evictions from a homeowner in the Newlands area, Savannah area. It was actually just broadcast live over Facebook, and just need to know your concerns and how we can address these foreclosure issues, because no one else seems to be addressing them unless they impact people directly. And thank you for your time.
Thank you for calling too, sir.
I'll answer that one because that's one of the things that's very near and dear to me. As a matter of fact, one of the very first motions that I filed in Delhi was to make amendments to the registered land law. What is actually missing from the country, where we and this is not to take anything from anyone who was there before, is a proper mortgage law. We have so much that is tied up into the registered land law in terms of the mortgage, the rights of the charges and everything. And when you actually go and you read the law, you realize there's not much protection inside the law. What we have done, and when I say we, I'm referring to my some members on the opposition side, is that we had reached out to a local attorney and basically out of our own pockets, paying them to draft a law to basically a proper mortgage law that people can actually use. Now, at the same time, being cognizant that the responsibilities that bank have to their shareholders and also the depositors too, because at the end of the day, the banks are also lending other people's money, so we expect a certain amount of care. But this is a problem, and when you start getting to the genesis of the problem in terms of how we got here, it's kind of to some extent a little bit of our own fault. When I said always, as a legislator now, I have to take responsibility, because even if something had happened before my time, when I ran, I knew many of the problems in the country, and I ran with a goal of fixing those problems. So in order for me to properly fix it, I have to take ownership of the problem. So I'm not there to say what the PPM, UDP, or anyone before me did or didn't do. It's now a problem, I think, for all 19 of us within the Legislative Assembly. So the first thing is actually putting in some level of consumer protection and some level of mortgage protection. What kind of boggles my mind and, is really sad in terms of what Gordon just mentioned. But one of the views that people should understand from a government standpoint, if you allow someone to stay in their home, they're the bank's problem. If they get evicted to the streets, they become government problem, they become the people problem. So anybody with any lick of sense would want them to stay in their homes and remain the problem for the bank, as opposed to being their own problem. So it kind of behooves me sometimes that we don't have the legislation that leaves the problem with a group of people that can probably cushion it. Now, in some cases, with eviction that I found, and this is, like I said, since the last year, looking at some of the challenges. I had one person that just 2 weeks ago, I sat down and wrote a letter which I sent to our institution to kind of revamp our mortgage arrangement. Now, again, she had qualified for a mortgage on it was 2 salaries. Unfortunately, there's a divorce in the family. So now there's one salary required now to replace what 2 salaries used to do. And when I sat down, look at her age, factored in a decent interest rate, and even carry her up to a certain point, and look at the payments, and then look at her salary, it would have been very, very difficult for her. And for me, it was a really difficult conversation to say, well, this is what you're making. You're going to be short, considering you also need to live. And of course, sometimes it's very easy to pick on the bank, but I'm like, well, listen, in this case, you got to look at your spouse. They're the ones who, also help with this situation too. But in terms of the person that's being evicted, I would really like to know, and if Gordon can probably WhatsApp us our messages, so we can reach out to that person to at least making sure that one, they have some place to stay.
Indeed.
Because the immediate thing is to make sure at the end of the day that they still have a roof over their head. And as a society, we still have that responsibility. Right. But the bigger solution will have to be changes to our legislation.
Mr. Saunders, Mr. Bush, when we come back, we can continue in that vein, some of the social challenges, things in the Legislative Assembly, but also continue to talk about health. We'll pause respectfully, take our 1 p.m. headline news. When we come back, more Talk Today.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brack and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. Headline. These are the biggest stories right now.
A 26-year-old man of Georgetown has been charged with 1 count of animal cruelty as a result of an investigation by the Department of Agriculture. The incident took place in December of 2017, during which it is alleged that the man delayed veterinary treatment to his pet dog after it had been struck by a car. The man was arrested by a staff member of the Department of Agriculture on June 13th and is currently on bail. The man is constable with the RCIPS. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. The fate of hundreds of undocumented children taken from parents remains unclear a day after U.S. President Donald Trump moved to roll back his policy. He ordered on Wednesday that the children be held with their parents while they are detained on charges of crossing the border illegally. But under U.S. law, migrant children cannot be detained more than 20 days by immigration officials. EU citizens will have to answer 3 simple questions online if they want to continue living in the UK after Brexit. That's what the Home Secretary has said. Sajid Javid said the government's default position would be to grant, not refuse, settled status. People will be asked to prove their ID, whether they have criminal convictions, and whether they live in the UK. And French President Emmanuel Macron has landed in some hot water over plans to build a new swimming pool at his private presidential retreat. The planned pool on France's southeast coast is designed to provide privacy for the president's family and particularly children. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-8837 or toll free with the compliments of Flo at 1-800-534-8255. In the studio, in good company of MLA Bernie Bush. Joining him is his colleague and friend equally, Mr. Chris Saunders. Bernie, as we look at health, as we continue our discussion, certainly feel free to weigh in and share anything that you so choose, but the issue of health and wellness, if I may ask, I had a conversation with a good friend earlier who was saying that many times, like so many cases, we wait until the horse is bolted until we address it. We wait until something happens to us or our health or to somebody close to us, then we take it to heart. No pun intended. But if you could start looking at health from the beginning of prevention and wellness, from not just the individual and the family, but as a policy, so that as we go to our systems, our healthcare systems, our sports systems, we start to incorporate physical fitness, lifestyle changes, so that we're healthy. We eat, we sleep, we exercise, we get sun, we laugh and love a lot more and stress a lot less.
But Dwayne, let us backtrack 1 second there, because I want to give you props. When you came, you had discussion about talking about health. If I would be willing to put myself, what I've gone through out there, you said what you just said, and you forgot one part, the part that I never thought about, even though I'm going through it right now, and that is when you do get to the extreme, like I just did, and you have the surgery, and you have surgeries, or you have heart attacks. What about afterward?
Yeah.
So that has to be included. So you're 100% right. I never thought that part until you said it.
Yeah.
I think I'm lucky that the Shetty Hospital seems to have that part covered, the part that you were concerned about. Now, you said you didn't have it when in a and you heard other people not having, only one person showed up for the class, so we're canceling the class. Well, I can tell you this much about Health City. They call me on a weekly basis. Right now, I'm at a stage where they're seeing me once a week, but they've already showed me the schedule. They will be following up even more.
Yeah.
I can tell them they don't have to because I was scared. I'm not going to try to play any hero. I was very scared going into that theater, but then I'm a little ashamed because I should have known God would look out for me. Plus, I didn't know how great this Dr. Benoit is, and but like I said, it has to be the total package. And if you're right now, I've lost 15 pounds in the last 2 weeks, and I've only been walking steady the last week. Why? Eating. You can cut your portions way down. We eat too much. And I was guilty of that. I was guilty of working all day, get home at night. You got good plate of food, tastes good, eat a big plate of food, lay down, watch TV, and the weight comes on, and not exercising. Please you can do it in your yard. Right now, like I said, this morning I got up 6, I went walking in my yard, round the carport, 20 minutes.
See, Bernie, as you share, I had a conversation with someone just yesterday, consciously. Sometimes you know something, and you try to tell the people because you know. But because it's you telling them, it's because them is receiving it, they don't want to hear it for whatever reason, right?
But you know what's surprising? When you say you're right, but you know what's surprising? The amount of calls that I've gotten, even when I walked in today here, first thing Miss Susan said to me was, "What did you feel?" And I think that's why I respect and I admire the fact when you said, let us try to educate our country on this thing. And believe you me, blood pressure is the silent killer.
Yeah, man.
So when you said the whole thing is, so right now, if you're going to say, okay, well, boy, look what Bernie is going through right now. Take time out, whether in the morning or evening. Go and walk 30, 35 minutes.
Look at our lifestyles. Huh?
Lifestyles, cut down on all that stuff. And people will say, oh, well, I'm doing it and I'm not having any problems. But when it does, it will catch up on you.
See, it is us as men and fathers, but it's also our wives or mothers. Right? Heart attack, the silent killer. Wives or women present differently than men from what the physicians have interviewed share. The idea that, as you shared, you didn't have any symptoms. Many people have symptoms and they ignore it. Oh, that's just a burning stomach. That's just whatever that thing is, right? Maybe it's a pain in the jaw, a pain back in the shoulder. Talk to your physician. Something that you said earlier that hopefully people will take it on board. People who are physicians and in the medical profession, people who are patients. When you go for your checkup, ask questions. Insist that they check things, not wantonly and foolishly.
Correct.
But go a little deeper and become our best advocates for our own health care. But then having people like you who are, not just public, not just gregarious, but who are willing to say, listen, this is what I went through. You said something just now. I was afraid. How many of us would admit that? Especially men. All right? I mean, honestly.
I can tell you. That's why when people like Dick, all those guys, the people that would come in and tease and crack jokes, I was happy for that. Let me tell you, when people came and saw me. And I want to say another thank you to Health City for allowing so many people to see me before the surgery because I think Shamari says statistics show I was the most visited person ever at Health City. And I think that was people coming to say, oh, yeah, we finally get rid of him. I think maybe that might have been the case. But, no.
Only you, boy. Only.
But make me tell you, please, I'm going to say to you all, because I spoke to you first. Yoshnik said to me first, then I spoke to you, and then Chris said it to me. And I am intending to, as I see the people at Health Center this evening, and the people at the I'm going to sit and talk to one or two people at the HSA, and I am going to start something similar to the colon, the prostate test, and those things. I intend to do something to raise money, to raise awareness, and I am not just going to stick with my West Bay alone.
Come on.
This is a national thing, and we don't care, but this is going to have to get done. We have to educate our people. And we have to make people realize none of you are any more bulletproof than I thought I was. You know, I dislocate my shoulder, keep on playing. I'm like I said, 2 weeks before this, I played a football match for the church in the church league. I don't think anything. I mean, just to show you how God is so funny. Well, not funny, but
yeah.
How they say it is that God make plans, or I forget how to say in God, but God is the one who. The Friday night when I stopped by the HSA and saying hello to my friends, I was telling some of them, nothing gonna make me miss Chronics next Friday night, because Chronics is the Marley of this era, and the music is very conscious, very clean, very sensible, and I was going to listen to this young man. I said, nothing. I don't care. Not gonna make me miss this. Yeah, but you what? Friday night I was in the ICU at Health City on my back, flat on my back. God decides things, not man.
Yeah, man.
But I'm going to say to you all, to the public out there, do not feel that you're invincible. Do not feel because you're slim, or do not feel because you've been doing something and you don't feel anything that it's not happening. It is happening. It could be happening, but the problem is try to prevent it from happening. That's the message I'm going to.
Prevention better than cure.
Prevention is better than cure, because, like I said, what I've gone through in the last week and a half, I wouldn't, as much as Health City made it seem like nothing, I've yet to feel any pain. But it still makes you nervous. And all the different things. So I think, like you said, we have to start to educate, and we have to take it to the people. If the people won't come to it, we have to take it to the people.
Yeah, but the thing is, you see, you said, I mean, some of us may feel like we're invisible. You know, people don't see us, don't hear us, right? And we may not necessarily see ourselves as being invincible, but there are those who are close to us, our spouses, our children, even sometimes people that we look up to may look at us and say, boy, you know, you're, like I said, you know, bulletproof. When something happens, it causes those people to be able to take a second look. And if this opportunity we can capitalize, and this is why someone like you, with the voice that you have, with the charisma and the charm, and that level of public appeal, not just only because of your position, right, can get us as a nation to do what you're sharing. Look at our health as our wealth. Look at it from the perspective of our lifestyle changes. You know, you're sharing things that many people have heard, probably even here, as the physicians have come through, whether from HSA or visiting or otherwise. Even their Health City people we've had on, you know, almost
regularly.
2 years running on a regular basis. Repetition is important in terms of if you want to learn and retain something. But sometimes people just need that extra little nudge. When I commend you for putting this on the table, and I hope that the people listening will start to think about how we measure who we are, by not just what we have, but what we can contribute, and let it start with our wealth. Chris said,
you said something, Chris said it earlier on.
Yeah.
And I'm not even going to go as far as my family, because that's a taken.
There's
a little girl who I coached at West Bay Primary. She's gone on to the high school. When she heard that I was at Sherry, she made her mother drive me to East End. Come to look for me. Then, on her way back down, her mother texted me and said, please text her and tell her you're going to be all right. She won't stop crying. When you see the effect that we have on our family and those that care, like you say, it behoves us to.
We have to, man.
We have to look out for ourselves. And like, whenever I've heard Chris, when I heard Chris talk about when he went out and how they just saved his life in time. And when I mentioned this to him, that this district to district thing, he said, we got to do it.
Yeah, man. See,
and so when you came to my house, that was the same thing you said.
Yeah, man.
We have to get this thing done. We have to make our people know.
I'll allow you to share what you wish to share, and I will not, hopefully, disrespectfully or sort of say anything that But I reflect on our conversations prior to you going in, and our conversations after. And too many people in this society don't appreciate how important it is for us to look at our health the way some of us do. Now, the scripture says, to whom much is given, much is required. We see that oftentimes in terms of financial or material. But when you're given a second chance, a third chance, when you get a chance to just simply, and I don't wish to make anybody feel bad, because we all obviously unfortunately know of some people this morning who feel in the loss, to wake up. You've gone to bed, whether you slept 10 hours or you only slept 10 minutes. You can get a wake up, get out of your bed, whether you stumbling in pain or whether you can bunk straight up and into the shower and out the door. The fact that you got up, that should not be taken for granted. And too many of us do. Right? And I think as we look at where we are, if ever anybody, whether it's the Queen, the Prime Minister of whatever country, or the Premier, the Deputy Governor, or even, say about you being political when you come to health, I have to say, well, it's not my intent, but if that's what it takes, we can't measure a big bank account if we're not healthy.
I know one thing. I got a rebuilt engine. and I'm going to put this to use.
Right.
Tell the world that if they want to say that health is political, may come and say, all I know is I'm going to be preaching on it, and it's important.
But Bernard, if I may ask,
both of us are here sitting testimony of it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You see, there are many of us who have traversed that path, and whether it's ourselves or whether it's people we care about, whether it's somebody aged or whether it's somebody very young, and you see people come to, as you shared respectfully, right, to death's door, and sometimes not even understanding how close you've come until the physicians, say, well, boy, after, just so you understand what transpired, or you found a member. Because sometimes they don't add an extra stress or worry to you when you're going into this thing. They need you to be as calm and as reassured as possible. And you emerge, Chris. You have, in my mind, an obligation. It's incumbent upon us to be able to say to people, okay, we can't, force the horse to drink. But boy, maybe not only can we lead it to the water, maybe we show it and put the head in the water and say, taste this thing. At least that's why I think you have to do that when you come to your health. Now, as we look at it from this perspective, it's easier said than done. Let's go back to lifestyle. How many of us are able to, because of time, go and cut our yards, push the lawnmower? We did it as people not long ago.
People.
Right?
It's so funny. Carol Smith, who was my treasurer when I was PTA president at West Bay Primary for 8 or 9 years, called me this morning to check up on me. And I told her, and she said she was buying her son an exercise machine, and it turned out she wanted to, and it's going to be a grass cutter. And I said, what's funny? I think I may buy one now.
Yep.
And maybe that's another way of looking at doing something.
And I know a guy who changed the different grass in his yard, and he got a particular mower. I'll be careful not to say too much because I don't want him to be embarrassed. Who said, listen, it's not a question of not being able to afford it. It's a question of how can he make time. So his motivation is, listen, he's almost as pale as I am now, right? Probably, which is bad. We leave before the sun come up. We don't come home till the sun go down, right? We're working, we're providing for our families. You got a gym membership, you don't use it. He's now got a push mower. He'll go out there and see. He did it one day. He said, this is hard because you haven't done it. The muscles have not been used. You don't use it, you lose it, right?
Correct.
So from the idea of taking this forward and looking at the after part, the health and the wellness, and to get people, I trust that you'll gain, the support of not just the wider community and the physicians, but as a people, we start to appreciate what this means. If we're healthier, our costs go down significantly. We enjoy life better.
It's when Chris said that him and his wife and those people go walking at 4:30 in the morning. Well, I'm going to get some people to the table to discuss it on how we're going to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you this much. It'll be announced very soon. Whether it's maybe we get something where you can drive, carpool to a different section every day so it's not boring. We do it one place this day. I don't know. We don't know. I'm going to throw the ideas in.
Right.
But when Chris can tell you that he's borderline 3 things, and after 2 months of exercise, the doctor said, come out of here, everything is gone, everything is good, go and exercise. That right there is evidence again. All right.
Well, gents, we have a call online for those who join us. MLAs, Bernie Bush, Chris Saunders are our guests. Hey, good afternoon and welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello.
Hey, good afternoon, Mom.
Yes, how are you?
Blessed. Very thankful, Mom. How about yourself?
Congratulations to Bernie.
Thank you, Mom.
And I hope he'll be a supporter of the Cayman Heart Fund and all the work we do to try and bring awareness to everyone. I'm sure that Sterling has mentioned it on the radio there today.
Yes, he has. When we discussed some of my plans going forward, he did mention the Cayman Heart Foundation.
And we have our Heart Heroes Luncheon coming up on September 28th. And we have some people sharing their stories as well. So I hope you could join us. And Chris, I hope you'll work with us as well. And we can do great things. We've made a lot of improvements in 10, 12 years. And Sterling can attend to that. Anyway, I want to congratulate you. I just came from my pacemaker check, and I just came from the gym. And I also did a swim of 20 laps in the morning, and then before that I did 10 minutes on an exercise cycle.
Nice.
Wow.
And I'm not going to tell you, that you got to do it, Bernie.
Yes, ma'am.
You got to do it. And I'm so glad Health City does an amazing job. Emily at our HSA does a great job. She checks all our pacemakers, people with pacers. You don't have one. You're brand new. But I've got one that works for the atrial side 70%. And then the other side only 20. So I'm here because of the miracles of pacemakers.
Mm-hmm.
So this year I want to feature. We're going to be featuring exercise and nutrition, and we're going to have a couple of people who do exercises. I'll just mention it. Hugh Cotterell and Sue Marin, who are great people with exercises, and they're both trainers, and they're wonderful for someone like you as well, Bernie.
Yes, ma'am.
So give me a call when you get home. I'm in the phone book, 916-1512 on my cell, and I have helped anybody that's got any questions.
Okay. Hey, thanks so much, Ms. Jose. And as I listen to the caller, some things come to mind, Bernie. The whole idea that as we look at health and wellness, lifestyle, I've heard from, I think I can say this without fair contradiction, that physicians, cardiologists specifically, are saying that like diabetes and hypertension and some of the other things, heart disease is almost like a lifestyle illness. Preventable, reversible even. We look at former U.S. President Bill Clinton and his physician and some of the things that we've seen in the popular U.S. media where through changes in lifestyle, what you eat, when you eat, you exercise, you sleep. But if I could invite the two of you from the perspective as not just MLAs, policymakers, but as fathers specifically, let's take a look at the way we live. It may be the same in other parts of the world. I'm not sure. Let's focus on Cayman. So we start out with the students, primary school, middle school perhaps. They're playing and running in lots of activity. High school, as they get further on.
It depends, Sterling. Stop right there now. So let me stop you right there now.
Go right ahead, man.
On that section.
Yep.
And I am not asking you.
I know the answer.
I am telling you on this one. We are, as a nation, too fat.
We're inactive.
But here's the problem at the primary school level. Parents giving children notes to miss PE every time that there's a PE class. That happens so often, you have no idea.
All right.
The children get no physical activity, and you wonder why they're before they're 10 or 11 years old. They're already just waiting to start to begin to get sick. So continue now. Yeah. So that's where it has to start.
Thank you. And I was going to actually come back to that.
I am go a little bit further. It's that because one of the things that many people don't even take enough of or drink enough of is water.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And if you speak to most cardiologists, they will tell you that one of the first things you can start with in the morning is a nice room temperature water or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
As of course, we like our water cold, and you go through, look at the different benefits. It's there, but from a policy standpoint, recognizing that in most countries around the world, that there's resources are always limited. The big question for policymakers from pretty much the beginning of recorded time is, do you invest in health or do you invest in education? And the answer has been that you invest in education, because once the people understand certain things, they at least will take care of themselves. We have, now you see we're in some places, they look at food, the trans fat and all that kind of stuff. We still have a fast food type culture, and one of the things where it actually starts with is what we shop and put in our homes. Now, I can tell you, if there's junk food around, don't care what willpower you have, and you see it, the color in the packaging and all of that would make you want to
it's convenient,
eat it.
it's attractive.
So I can tell you, last night, I was at a function, came home, and I just wanted something to eat, and I kept looking around, can't find no chips, can't find all of this stuff. And I ended up with, I think, cereal, like Cheerios, like around
sugar in a bowl.
1 o'clock in the morning. But I got a little bit of fiber, But
yeah.
If it's not in your house, you can't eat it.
Yeah, but this is, you see, as parents, right? We understand this, and I appreciate you guys sharing, because I was going to, come back to that narrative. The idea that our lifestyles have changed, that level of activity has now decreased even from primary school. We're seeing. The statistics I have available to me are out of the U.S. Kindergarten students in the U.S., they're now, the researchers, the educators are saying they are not getting sufficient activity. But as we go through life, what is happening to us? In high school, we're less and less active. In university, less and less active. In the workplace, let's assume for a second that we're looking at the executive. So the executive now has become so busy functioning, running the organization, right, that all of a sudden something happens to her or to someone. The organization says, well, you're key to this organization, so we're going to get you, your executive wellness check, and we're going to get you a personal trainer, we're going to get you the dietitian and so on, and the wellness coach and all these things in order to help you now to become active. All along, when we trace that person's life, the level of success, study and education was an upward trajectory. The level of physical activity is in a downward. So there's this great disparity. And at 40 or 50 or whatever age, we got to find a way to make the two of them align. Why can't they run parallel? Why can't they run in tandem? Lifestyle. Now, the attractiveness of the fast food, the convenience of it, the fact that it's cheaper. What are we and how are we? And maybe after this break, I can ask, as policymakers, are there things?
Okay, after this break, when you come back, because we're going to wrap up after the break as well.
Yeah.
But I have something here that's it. That we'll get on that on.
Well, you want to know what that is? MLA Bernie Bush will tell us. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Kia Soul passes it to Kia Sportage. Sportage makes a stylish move over to the sleek Optima. Optima then flicks it across to the 7-seat Sorento. Sorento heads it. Goal! Kia!
It's time to score with the entire 2018 Kia lineup at GT Motors. Get up to $3,000 cash back. The first 50 customers will score a World Cup replica football and mascot. Hurry, it's the best thing that's happened to car buyers all year. The 2018 Kia clearance sale, only at GT Motors on Godfrey Nixon Way. Kia, driving football fever.
Satisfy your World Cup cravings at Merengue Town. Now under sole ownership by Mr. Johnny. $15 bucket specials during the game. And after game time, it's party time. With Karaoke Wednesdays, the Friday night party with DJ Bambino. And on Saturday and Sunday, get your sweetness on with DJ Sugar. Enjoy free finger foods and soup. And don't forget about the fried fish specials. Only at Merengue Town. Located in Georgetown on Boilers Road off Walkers Road. Merengue Town. It's time. Feel the rhythm. Time to feel the vibes. It's time for Merengue Town.
Headlines.
With the latest headlines.
Headlines.
All the news when you want it. Tune in to Radio Cayman for hourly headlines of the day's top stories.
One of Cayman's bright and shining young stars.
Local, regional, international.
Headlines.
Turning to international news. Updates on the hour between 7 a.m. and 6 p.m. on weekdays. Radio Cayman News.
Headlines.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's new kitchen and bath center.
CUC advises customers in Mount Pleasant and the Shores areas in West Bay that they will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Friday, June 22nd between 9 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Areas affected include all customers on Meadow Avenue, Broca Close, Up the Hill Road, Coppice Lane, Glade Drive, Bonneville Drive, Adonis Drive, Shorelink Terrace, Bayshore Drive, Shorescape Lane, Shorewinds Trail, Shoreview Point, Shoreline Drive, and Shoreline Circle. Motorists are asked to drive with caution when utilizing these roads, as CUC will have a number of vehicles and personnel in this area. CUC apologizes for this interruption, which is necessary to facilitate the upgrading of lines and poles to provide access for telecommunication companies offering high-speed fiber to customers in these areas. For more information on the outage and streets affected, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
Think life insurance is only about leaving money for your family? Well, think again.
The Tuesday and Thursday edition of The Business Buzz is proudly sponsored by Teddy Clayton of Pan American Insurance. Call Teddy today at 917-4860. That's 917-4860.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. 949-837 or toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-TALK. MLAs, Bernie Bush and Chris Saunders, and you see me laughing with these guys. Boy, you should realize that these two fellas here, not just intelligent, but they got a good sense of humor. Bernie, I tell you, man, if God didn't make us handsome, at least give us a sense of humor.
Speak for yourself. I know I'm good looking.
Chris
I know I'm good looking.
But
only your mama tell you that, Bobo.
Listen to me.
But his mother, his
God made a few perfect people. The rest are slim. Okay, this is what loveliness looks like. Okay, if you 100 years from now, scientists is going to be studying this, all of this,
you're fluffing,
all of this fluffing. This right? I've been for comfort, not for speed. Oh yeah,
speed kills.
Speed kills exactly.
When you ever in the world, you see speed kills. We built for comfort.
Oh, this cushion, right, yeah. What is it?
I got a granddaughter now. She likes my tummy.
Yeah, man.
Boy, have you seen this? She is amazing, man.
This one guys out there rock hard type stuff. You can muggle up on that kind of stuff.
Plus, I saw where something where Robert Mugabe said, "What do you think a woman would like? A 6-pack on your belly, or 6 cars? Go out and work." But anyhow, getting back to what you said about what we can do to help. One of the things as legislators, and I'm not sure who did it before, but it was turned down. But I do feel one of the ways we can start is to put. Have you ever looked on the price for the organic food and the healthy food? It's unbelievable. It's through the ceiling. But what we can do is, and as a mother or a father, you have to protect your children from themselves. We can start to raise the duty on junk food and those type of things to make it much more expensive. It's like some people say that when they raised the duty on cigarettes, it got so expensive they stopped. I've heard many people say that. And so if you raise the money on junk food, if you raise the duty on junk food, maybe we may slow down and help protect some of our own.
I think one of the things, and And I don't like making statements like these because I generally don't like making statements where I don't have the facts to support it. But this is just a very strong belief, and there's one caveat with that where I believe one of the things I've always been concerned about is our eye cancer rate. And I can't help but believe a lot of the food that we're importing is what is lending to that. Now, I'm not in a position to ever commission that study, and nobody ever wants to look at that, but I believe like a lot of these preservatives that we're putting in food and all that kind of stuff, a lot of stuff that we're putting inside our bodies just ain't healthy. And one of the things that boggles my mind is that I look at Central and South America. We have the ships that we literally pass in Cayman, going to the States, and then we go to the States and buy the food. I mean, why don't we look at even getting the food directly from those places rather than have them load them up with preservatives? You take bananas, for example. Bananas are packed green. I think they're gassed with something called carbine.
Yeah, they're gassed.
You know what I mean? And then turn into that nice yellow. Now, people want them pretty-looking yellow bananas. But if you look at the real healthy bananas, you know what I mean, without any of that kind of stuff, it looks completely different, but it's just not pretty enough. So I think that's why it's important for us to really have these education, these forums to let people know. Now, one of the things I'm passionate about is agriculture. And I believe that whatever it is that we can have here locally, we need to do a lot more to support our farmers. You know what I mean? And at the same time, you know, if we have to subsidize it. But this is one of the things that, again, you know, people, whenever the government taking money to do this or help that one, we have a tendency to complain. But the question is, if we don't do it, then who? Rather than say the government, say the people. If we know we want to eat healthy, but it costs a little bit longer to grow the product, let us find a way to work with our farmers, subsidize them if needs be, because what we're saving in the long run in terms of our health, in terms of medical costs, will be worth it. And I think this is where we need to go. So it is about sitting down and having these long-term plans. And, you know, I can tell you I don't have all the solutions, but what I do know from going around and speaking to many people, that we do have people in this country with the knowledge to find a lot of solutions to our problems and our challenges.
Okay, gents, as I really appreciate both of you taking time out of your day to spare with us, Bernie, with respect to Chris, you especially, right? Those who understand and praying for your continued recovery, we see where you are. It just shows what we can do. With the greatest of respect, can I ask both of you, in your capacity as MLAs, as policymakers, we put people in position. We give them a level of authority. We even extend to them a level of autonomy. But where is the accountability now? Whether it's health, and we're talking about trying to move things forward, perhaps it's a fiscal or monetary policy we're exploring, perhaps it's the administrative aspect of things. Do we have confidence in our system? Do we have competence in our execution of our systems? Are we...
I am going to make Chris take this one because
listen,
I know. Please allow me to give Chris this one.
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Accountability.
Well, I mean, some would have read and saw on TV that the Public Accounts Committee, well, the motion has been accepted by the Honourable Speaker to debate the contempt motion on Chief Officer Jennifer Ahern. And what is ironic, and I have to give credit where credit is due too, because initially when the committee did its work, all 5 members of the committee had signed off and report was tabled. And while we tabled the report, if there were any issues with the report at the time, any member of the Legislative Assembly could have said something. The report was taken, and I can tell you the Leader of the Opposition, Ezra Miller, took the time out to literally read all the recommendations and everything, where we asked the Deputy Governor in which to deal with the issue. But we reserve the right as a committee member to, if nothing is done, then we do something. Almost 3 months had passed, we hadn't heard anything, so we decided we filed a motion. 2 of the other government colleagues decided, well, they wasn't signing the motion. And it's kind of ironic that when I was visiting Vernon prior to surgery, you know what I mean, I guess, I don't know, maybe he was trying to take his mind off everything else. You know, he kept asking a lot of political stuff. Oh, Chris, can you call so-and-so my constituents or that working on, you know? Can you, you know? And the issue came up about the motion. So I said to him, well, at the time, we look like we'll have to file a motion because we haven't heard anything back. And he's like, I want to sign. I'm like, nah, it's not necessary. You're up here, you're sick, leave it alone. You know, we're fine, we're good. And I mean, and of course it turns out that we actually weren't, because 2 other government members decided that they weren't going to sign the motion. And if Bernie hadn't insisted that he signed the motion, then we would have at least not have a majority of members of the committee. Because there are 5 members, so Bernie at least stuck to his guns to say, we need to hold people accountable. And one of the things I just want to say, because this is something that weighed heavily for me, in that I believe strongly that the chief officers within our system of government plays an important role in terms of the checks and balances, in the sense that if you have a minister that's very assertive, very aggressive, that want to run shotgun or whatever through a ministry, you need a chief officer, a strong personality, to kind of say to the minister, tranquilo, slow down, relax. This is not how we do things. So that is also a safeguard. Thus the reason we took the approach of saying, let the DG deal with it, because the last thing you would want is any politician weakening or creating an avenue in which to weaken a chief officer, recognizing the important role that they play. When that didn't happen, then this is where we believe that this step is necessary. Now, this is something I can tell you I thought long and hard about. Seriously, because at the end of the day, and I'm not ashamed to say that even as a PSC member, when some witnesses are coming down there, I would call them up and I would say, these are my line of question, come prepared to answer this. Because at the end of the day, it's not about gotcha. It's not about taking a civil servant and ambushing them. They're not in a political realm. That's different. Our job is to get the information out to the public. That's what we're there for. And I don't expect everyone to really know everything. And that's the reason I would say, come for this. One of the things that had really jumped out, even looking at the SEMA report, what really did it for me is that on these government boards, we also have a certain amount of continuity, where the chief officer we have as members of several of these government entities. So the minister ain't there, but the chief officer is. So even if a government changes, there's some continuity of knowledge, because a minister may change the board, but the chief officer remains. And what really did it in for me was the Health Insurance Commission, where I saw when SEMA had filed their report, I think it was the 2015 report, and you got numbers, you're like, okay, what does this benchmark to? And when I looked at the health insurance sector, and I saw that for 4 years prior to that report, their net profit ranged from $4 million to $14.8 million in that area, for an average of about $10.8 million over the 4-year period. And then 1 year it jumped up to $51.5 million in profit. I'm like, how do you move from $14.8 million to $51.5 million in profit? And no one says anything. I remember other government ministers calling me up and like, whoa, Chris, like, is this for real? I'm like, well, I didn't even call SEMA myself to make sure these numbers were legit. So that's the reason we had Mervyn Connolly before PSE. But then when you go and you look at the HSA books and you look at the growth in their bad debt over the same period of time, they had that year another 20-something million in bad debts. So you don't have to ask where this profit went to, recognizing that the hospital, the HSA, has 180 days in which to bill insurance companies. So here the insurance company haven't paid the hospital, and I'll say it, they haven't paid the hospital, so they've taken our money, they haven't paid the hospital, and here we are as the taxpayers paying twice. We pay a premium, and then we have to pay more now just so the government can pump it in the HSA. And then here's one person who's the link on both boards, on both the HSA board and both the HIC board, and the information is there, and if you can't see. So, I spoke to the minister. Well, actually, the minister had called me about it because he was concerned. And I said, Minister, have anyone brought this to you to say, well, this is the situation, here's what we need to do about it? And he said, no. And then the question comes back, then, what are you doing? We brought SEMA down there. We had property insurance again. 3 years average was like about $28 million in profit. Then all of a sudden it jumps up to the last 2 year average like $50 million. 1 year was $60 million in profit. Since Hurricane Ivan, we have paid over $1.3 billion in premiums. I see places in Florida that got hit. The regulators tell them that they can charge those areas that got hit more than a 9.9% increase. Yet we have Caymanians here paying 30% increase in their property insurance. So it comes back to the question, what are the people who we are paying good money to look out for us? What are they doing?
Nothing.
So the flip side is no. We have decided the time has come now where we're going to start holding these people accountable. And I would love to say to you that chief officer issue would be a one-off. It will not. Because at the end of the day, we have people in this country who we pay to enforce the laws who are not doing it. They're also going to be held accountable too. Now that we have even, what have made matters worse is now we now have a 2-year budget cycle. And normally yesteryear has gone by, the finance committee year on year when they're doing the budget would serve to ask the questions, well, what did you guys do last year? You came here last year, you told us this year is something different. Now, with moving to a 2-year, I'm not sure if there's going to be a finance committee to review that, but at a minimum for us on the PSC, we are prepared to say, no, we'll take up that slack to say, well, this is what you came here and said you're going to do. And I'm going to put it in the public domain because my approach is to go and get the answers from the finance committee, look at all the answers you gave when you came before us and said, this is what you're going to do with the people money, and then ask you say you're going to do this, did you do this? This is what accountability is about. I mean, the taxpayers of this country pay good money, over $300 million a year, $400 million a year in staff costs across the entire government service to make sure that people do what it is that they're supposed to do. Wow. It's not nice, but at the end of the day, work or go home. But, we are in the business of making people's lives better. And, the civil service or the public service is part of that. What you're doing right now is part of informing the public. That is part of your role in terms of doing that and to make sure that the public is kept informed. Well, but it makes no use if you got people out there who are supposed to enforce immigration laws, ain't doing it. Supposed to enforce labor laws, ain't doing it. Then what's the use? Our job is to create opportunities for our people. And every year I get a little bit more concerned when I recognize with all these graduations going on now, you're going to go there and look at these kids in the eye. You can see all the optimism, all the future, all the brightness. They're keen to go. And then within a couple of months, you're going to hear that these people can't find work. This is the reality we have every year. Then you got kids coming home from school, either want some job or finishing school, wanting a job. They want to feel a part of society. Right. And then we're going to sit down there and then basically say, there's no opportunities here for you. That's not happening, Sterling. So I don't know what was done before, but I can tell you right now, as Bernie said, it's time, in essence, for this dolly house to mash up. I'm going to say dolly house. It's this imaginary toys and imaginary playthings that people have. This little model house with all of these little Ken and Barbie type stuff. We're talking about real life now. And we have some people that are living in a bubble and thinking that this is a dolly house when people are genuinely thinking there. Mm-hmm. The call I took when I stepped out is I'd call Gordon, who had called back in to find out about that person who was being evicted. And it's a situation I'm familiar with. But at the end of the day, as a society, we should never have gotten to this point. There should have been safeguards, something along the way, to either deal with this. But to be having police and all of this kind of stuff, it shows a failure. You go to northward, it is a failure of society where we didn't catch some things quicker.
Well, Mr. Saunders, certainly appreciate the time. Hopefully, collectively, with your colleagues or independently, come back. Bernie, any final thoughts you may want to leave with our listeners?
First, let me tell you, thanks for coming to my house and saying to me, you have to make the public know your story. Then I have to say thanks to Chris for when I told him it was about health. Because Chris, like he just told you about how he's come home to Christ,
come to Jesus
moment when he was on death door with his situation. Tell Chris thanks for coming at short notice as well. To all the prayers, thank you. I heard the amount of prayers that are here went up for me. I'm glad they were praying for me because I doubt sometimes mine even reached the ceiling. But I would like to say thanks to all the churches, all the people out there, all the children who prayed for me. At the HSA, Dr. Gardner for not ignoring me when I said don't take any blood and quickly sending me to Shetty, to Health City. Oh my God, you all are amazing. And like I said at the beginning, the Honorable McKeever Bush took a lot of flack, took a lot of hits for wanting that project up there. But a
lot of people fought him too.
Yes, and I want to tell him and all those who agreed with him, thank you all very much as well. And last but not least, like I said to you, thanks for having me. But praise be to God, I'm here and I can talk.
Gents, thanks very much, man. And I think
have a good day.
We have to be positive and optimistic. Let's be productive and constructive. Yep. Enjoy your afternoon. Hey, to our listeners, let's pause and take a break. When we come back, more talk today.
Celebrate Cayman bring you the Summer Festival, Saturday, June 23rd from 4 p.m. until midnight along the Georgetown Harborfront. Radio Cayman will be bringing you live coverage of the festivities starting at 4 p.m. The Celebrate Cayman Summer Festival, Saturday, June 23rd. Admission is free.
CUC advises customers in Mount Pleasant and the Shores areas in West Bay that they will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Friday, June 22nd between 9 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. Areas affected include all customers on Meadow Avenue, Broca Close, Up the Hill Road, Coppice Lane, Glade Drive, Bonneville Drive, Adonis Drive, Shorelink Terrace, Bayshore Drive, Shorescape Lane, Shorewinds Trail, Shoreview Point, Shoreline Drive, and Shoreline Circle. Motorists are asked to drive with caution when utilizing these roads, as CUC will have a number of vehicles and personnel in this area. CUC apologizes for this interruption, which is necessary to facilitate the upgrading of lines and poles to provide access for telecommunication companies offering high-speed fiber to customers in these areas. For more information on the outage and streets affected, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
King Sports Center's Art of Fun Summer Camp is back from July 3rd to August 3rd. Now in its 14th year, the Art of Fun Camp is ideal for kids aged 5 through 10 with activities from football, basketball, dodgeball, squash, rock climbing, arts and craft, dance, singing, and more. Your child can stay cool while having fun in a safe and secure environment. For more info, email kings.brebanks@gmail.com. That's kings.brebanks@gmail.com. or call 946-KING, like King's Sports Center on Facebook, and you can also find them on Instagram or call 946-5464. King's Sports Center, providing you with all your fitness, recreation, and relaxation needs.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
89.9 Radio Cayman helps you to weather the storm during this hurricane season.
One of the most crucial elements of hurricane preparedness is storm awareness. During the season, it is of utmost importance to pay attention to the latest local weather forecast, as hurricanes do not suddenly form or strike. There are various methods of advanced notification. Utilizing such may be the difference between a favorable outcome and disaster. Both television and radio serve as excellent mediums with up-to-the-minute storm path information in the wake of a hurricane. Another method of tracking a hurricane may be only arm's length away. Your smartphone or tablet can be your most valuable tool before, during, and after a storm, providing countless numbers of apps with crucial hurricane information. Many apps allow you to track storms with moving radar and satellite imagery, plus offer alerts, current conditions, forecasts, advisories, and even video.
This hurricane preparedness tip was brought to you by your community radio station, Radio Cayman, 89.9 FM.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back to Talk Today. Thank you for joining us. 949-8837 or 1-800-534-8255. There's some calls online, Miss Susan. For those who want to join us, you can call, WhatsApp, you can text, you can do some of the things that we know you were able to in order to get your message to us. Again, a very special thanks to MLA Bernie Bush and MLA Chris Saunders for joining us. Yes, the focus initially and primarily was on health, but the opportunity of having our MLAs in the studio, we can always talk about other things. And as they shared, maybe we can use the example as part to initially mobilize and motivate us to look after our health and well-being, and then translate that into something else where we can take action and initiative in order to improve our wealth, not just our financial wealth, but our stock, so that we are better contributors and we can benefit more as we give more. It's open line 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Let's take your calls and enjoy our conversation and time together for the remainder of our program. You can WhatsApp 925-3261. You can send us an email. Our email address, talktoday@candw.ky. Or you can call us toll free, 1-800-534-TALK, 1-800-534-8255. It's the kind compliments of Flow. Now, if you're not able to access it just yet, well, dial us on 949-8037. I've been promising for something else to come down the pipeline soon. I think we got everything in play. It's just a matter of time to get the wires connected up. So let's get there soon, and you'll be able to have another option. Until then, this is what we have. Now, as I listen to our MLAs talk, and I look at a couple of the comments that came through separately, it seems that as much as we take and divide the issue, as much as we think they're disconnected, it seems that there is not only the, seemingly integration of these things, seemingly that sometimes one is contingent upon the other. If we invest in our education, get our people to be better informed and advised about our choices in life, they may be more positive and productive. They may make better, more sensible choices, not only in relation to career choices and the like, but in relation to how we approach our health and our well-being. Now, is it that you're prepared to say to our governments that we should be doing all that we can to make sure our public is as informed? We want to translate that into being educated, not just on pen and paper. And as a result, they become healthier because we start to value our health. We become active in a positive way. We engage. We are looking at things and making very informed, reasoned decisions. When we get into discussions, we can come from a perspective of having considered the scenario. We're actually physically active with walking and swimming and running and doing all other things individually and collectively. We're playing sports as we get healthier. Have you ever had friends or either yourself travel to some places and you looked at the people who occupy those spaces and see how healthy they are, how active they are, how they look at what is it that they do. They consciously do the things that they do. Have you also traveled to other places where maybe the people are not, so healthy? They're not so active. Have you then gone further afield and perhaps access, if it's available, information on the life expectancy of that area, how that area is measured in terms of the happiness index, as it were, how the people live their lifestyle, their life expectancy. Now, maybe some of you do that, maybe some of you don't. Maybe you've skimmed it. But the idea is, can we, in a much more meaningful way, manage that in our society so that in a generation we see the improvement because we start now. 949-8037 or 1-800-534-8255. Either the toll-free call with the compliments of Flow or call us directly. Now, if you want our email address, talktoday@candw.ky. Got a few comments that we want to read through during the next break, but certainly be more inclined. Certainly would welcome your comment. So send it through on the WhatsApp or move it down the pipeline and give us a call directly, and we hear from you as we proceed. Miss Susan is always on the other line. Now, Miss Susan, do we take the call or we go to the break? Hey, stay online because our news is looming. Please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Country classics.
Well, I was born to coal miner's daughter.
On the road again. They're gonna put me in the movies.
Papa Top again.
Out in the West Texas town of El Paso.
Because you're mine, I walk the line.
Well, I love them in
Country classics.
young love, first love.
You never count your money when you're sitting at the table.
If you enjoy classic country music, come hang out with Radio Cayman this Saturday, 3:30 to 6 p.m.
In
a Mississippi cotton picking Delta town.
This Saturday afternoon, following American Country Countdown, 3:30 to 6 on Radio Cayman.
Just walk on by, wait on the corner.
Country classics.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
From Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman, we've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman.
Radio Cayman's newsroom. These are the biggest stories right now.
The new chief financial officer in the Cabinet Office wants to enhance the effectiveness of both the portfolio and the wider civil service. Christy Seymour Mohammed's duties involve establishing policies and procedures to ensure that all departments are operating in line with international accounting standards and local financial legislation. Good afternoon, I'm Dion Anglin with your headlines and news elsewhere. The latest on the immigration controversy. U.S. President Donald Trump says he's officially inviting Democratic leaders to the White House to discuss immigration legislation. Speaking ahead of a cabinet meeting, Trump says he was making the open invitation through the press. Chip maker Intel has announced that its chief executive, Brian Kranich, is stepping down with immediate effect because of a violation of Intel's non-fraternization policy. He had been in the post since May of 2013. Intel said an inquiry had revealed that Mr. Kranich had a consensual relationship with an Intel employee, which was against company rules. And a female reporter groped live on air at the World Cup has spoken out about harassment by sports fans. Colombian correspondent Juliet Gonzalez Theron was working for DW Español in Moscow when a man grabbed her breast and kissed her cheek. She continued her report without interruption, but has since addressed the incident online. That's a wrap of your headlines. I'm Dion Anglin.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
What's happening in your community? News and information, music and more. You can find us. www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Radio Cayman is your choice, your voice for today's biggest news. Radio Cayman.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back to Talk Today. It's open line 949-8037 or toll free at 1-800-534-8255. Let's go to our phones and join our caller. Hey, good afternoon. You're on Talk Today.
Hi, good afternoon. Good afternoon to your panel as well.
Hey, good afternoon, my friend. How are you today?
Not doing bad. I'm happy to hear that Bern is able to come back to Radio Land. You're talking about, I heard you all talking about health and stuff. The problem with a lot of us in Cayman is that we're overweight. And we really do nothing to try to get the weight loss. And those who try resort to a number of different methods. The slim shakes and all kinds of stuff like that. Back in August of last year, I decided that because my family has hypertension, and I was diagnosed with hypertension some time ago, and they also have diabetes. That's the one, thank God, I didn't get diagnosed with. But I decided to change my whole way of living, and in terms of how I ate, what I ate, etc. And one of the things with us in Cayman is we believe if we don't have this load of old rice and bean and white rice and cassava, and we have ate nothing. Well, I started out, I was 336 pounds, and
wow.
And today I can say I am down at 260. And it was a very simple lifestyle change. Your mind controls your body. and you have to control your mind, and so all I simply did, and I will tell anybody, don't go to all these shake business and all kind of foolishness. The key thing to cut out of your diet is sugar. I don't drink anything that has sugar ingested in it, such as if I make coffee, it is without sugar. If I drink the LaCroix instead, it's a sparkling beverage, has absolutely no sugar, no calories, nothing in it. That's what I replaced the word Pepsi with, and just that, and going to the gym once a day. Sometimes I was going twice a day. Depends on how energetic I felt, and I was able to come down considerably. I mean, I was wearing a race 52 pounds. Now I'm down to race 40. People got to understand that you can go, you can go do these surgeries. You can do this, do that. If you don't change your way of eating, you can put back on the weight the same way. If you don't exercise properly, you can put on the weight. I'm not proclaiming to be no health freak, but one thing I can tell you, I am a testament to the fact that if you eat right, exercise, and you're gonna lose weight. That is without question. You are going to lose weight, and I encourage everybody to just stop eating all the breads. And there's not such a thing as a healthy bread. I don't eat any bread. Well, I should say I occasionally during my diet I've had a hamburger, but I've taken half of the bread off.
You made some moderation,
right? And so if you give up those sugars, give up those bad starches and stuff, you're going to lose weight. You don't even train and you're losing weight.
Right.
So
I appreciate you sharing. Right. If I could ask you if you're comfortable with, and I think the reason why I'm asking is that sometimes we need to hear, not just testimonials, if you want to call it, but from people who say the things that you used to eat, like say the sugars, for instance, and now that you don't eat them, if deliberately or inadvertently those things are now back into the things you eat, do you feel different in a bad way when you do eat them?
I'll just tell you, I mean, cause like I said, I'm straight up. When I gave up the sweets, right?
Mm-hmm.
I decided, well, boy, I can have a drink tonight. So I used to drink scotch.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided, well, I was going to drink gin and tonic.
Mm-hmm.
I'd given up the sugar for a while, so I said, well, I'm going to drink gin and tonic. And next morning I wake up feeling horrible. So I went to the shop, and while at the shop I looked at a bottle of tonic water. It had in 34 grams of sugar.
Yeah.
So I thought I was doing myself a favor. I haven't had it since, and I feel great. I feel terrific. I mean, there's no feeling like losing that amount of weight, and you're able to do so much more.
Well, I'm told by people who have made some very, very positive lifestyle changes that they experience a number of things. Respectfully, if you're comfortable in it, if I may ask you, one, they feel much more confident about everything they do. They feel more energetic, more positive. They feel all these things. How would you say to that? I mean, is that generally what you're experiencing as well?
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, you're. I tell you, you're a different person. I mean, you can do the things that that you used to do when you're in your late 20s or in your early 20s now. You have more confidence in everything you do for sure. So it's
so lifestyle.
Losing that amount of weight is a confidence booster, man.
Yeah, my lifestyle, and I really appreciate you sharing, because I think many of us, unfortunately, fail to realize that weight gain that we're experiencing didn't come on overnight or in the last year.
Oh no!
For some reason, we want to take it off, because today is Friday and tomorrow, we're going to a wedding or to a class reunion or we're meeting somebody for the first time, something. We want to lose it overnight.
Yeah.
With that, though, in addition to, if I may final ask, in addition to the lifestyle changes that you talk about, we're looking at what you eat, when you eat, maybe even how much you eat and how you eat it, exercising. Is there anything else that you think we could do or should be doing to improve our lifestyle, our health?
Well, I mean, in improving your health is it starts with with being a professional, I would think it starts with proper proper meal planning. proper exercise and stuff. And then some people have this idea that, I'm just going to eat once a day. Well, if you're doing that, you're at risk of losing absolutely no weight. I mean, you need to eat. I eat 5 times a day, but it's what you eat and the portions that you eat.
Mm-hmm.
And once you lose the amount of weight, you'll find that the amount of food that you once sit down to eat, you can no longer eat that amount of food because it's more or less your stomach has shrunk. So
you get full much faster and it lasts a lot longer in some extent.
That's correct. Yeah.
But then again, too, as you shared, maybe some people shouldn't miss that, is that now the things that you used to eat, for some reason you no longer, or at least you're more conscious of not eating them and how they affect you when you do.
Exactly. And I mean, I'll tell you without fear of contradiction that I could live with as this old saying, I could live with long as Methuselah, and I'll never drink another soda again in life. Never, ever.
Yeah, lots of sugars.
Those things that just kill you with the sugars, man.
Yeah, man. Well, I hope that people start to appreciate that our wealth is indeed, our health.
Yeah.
And there are little things that we can do that become significant if we consistently do them. I appreciate you sharing, man. And if anything else you want to share, thank you.
No, thank you, man.
Yeah, always be welcome to do so, all right?
Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, man. A great inspiration. And there are a lot of great things. There are a lot of negative things that get a lot of play. I don't think that I want you to, in shape, form, or fashion, use me as any great example by any means. But if the caller before, if Mr. Bush, Mr. Saunders, others can serve as examples. You heard a caller earlier, some of you recognize her voice. Only because she didn't say her name, I won't repeat it. But you recognize it and what she says. She was riding her bike, she was swimming, she just come from the gym. Now, there is, an individual that I know quite well. And he said that unfortunately, while he was working, paying the bills, making sure that he was taking care of the family, as that protector and that provider, he didn't quite appreciate, that his health. Now, luckily, he got to a point where he was able to, quote-unquote, retire. And as a result, he was able to structure his life so that he got an opportunity to exercise. Started out by a simple walk. And those of you who know the fellow and you see him at the very least, on a weekly basis, you've seen, his words, the transformation. Not just weight loss, because he probably wasn't anybody that would have considered to have been overweight. He would share with you, if you asked him, that his physician probably told him he was underweight. So he exercises. He put on more muscle. He's become, fitter. He's improved his stamina and endurance. He says he's managed to do a number of things. His only regret is that for whatever reason, he wasn't able to change his lifestyle earlier, so that what he was in his 20s or 30s or even, a few years after that, he could now be in his 60s and 70s. Exercise, eating healthy, sleeping, going fishing and getting a little sunshine. Maybe those are things that we need to look at. Perhaps in that, we can find a ways to de-stress. Now, it's open line. You can talk about your health and wealth. You can talk about other things. If you need to call and comment and criticize, and go right ahead. Sometimes you just need to listen in there. Can't promise you that I have a solution, nor will be willing to offer up one. I can promise you I'll listen attentively. So 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255. Susan says, now listen, you are failing to remind people that you're on, and I was joking to say now, that tube face, but I'll be stressed for a second, YouTube. So she says, you go online to YouTube. I think most of you know where to find that. Click on Radio Cayman and type it in and do something. And subscribe to us. And you can see us. Now, that's what you're supposed to do. And that happens, Miss Susan, for OC tomorrow morning as well. So you can watch Mr. OC. He's much more handsome, You see Miss Sabrina as well? Yeah, soon come. All right. I think what happened is that we got to talk to her agent, apparently. I'm just kidding. That's what Radio Cayman is evolving into. So Radio Vision, 949-8037, or toll free at 1-800-534-8255, or email. An email works just as easy. Talk today at candw.ky. Today is Thursday. I must tell you, I think it's Friday. Call online, but a final break to take. So please stay tuned for Talk Today.
Wow, looks good. What is that?
Chicken share.
What did you just say to me?
Chicken share.
I am not a chicken.
Whoa! I said chicken share. It's from KFC. Bucket of 12 hot wings, 6 pieces of chicken, or 8 tenders. KFC chicken share. Just $12 each.
Oh.
Want some chicken, tenders, or hot wings?
You're sharing your chicken share with me?
The new chicken share from KFC. Just $12 each. And it's finger-licking good. Dine at KFC Baytown Plaza, KFC Shedden Road, or KFC at the Strand.
Important notice for all contractors, including general, civil, residential, building, and trade contractors. The Department of Planning would like to inform you that in order to pull permits and request inspections, your company must be registered with the Builders Board by July 31st, 2018. Failure to register with the Builders Board will prevent you from seeking permits and inspections. Fees and applications can be found online at www.planning.ky. All applications and fees for all contractors must be submitted by July 31st, 2018.
Kick off your summer at Celebrate Cayman Summer Festival.
Our people, our culture, our history, our heritage, our future.
Enjoy live music performances, local foods, arts and crafts, history and fireworks. Don't miss this enchanting evening, Saturday, June 23rd from 4 p.m. until midnight along the Georgetown Harbour Front. For more information, including vendor and participation opportunities, visit celebratecayman.ky. The Celebrate Cayman Summer Festival, Saturday, June 23rd. Admission is free, so come out and help us to celebrate Cayman.
Back. Thanks to Miss Susan for helping me out here. And thank you for sharing with us. It is toll free, 1-800-534-TALK. Let's go to our phones. Welcome. You're on Talk Today.
Hello, good afternoon, Sterling.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Oh, pretty good, thank you. All right. I've been listening to the show all along while.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, I just drove in through my gate now, so I said, well...
So now, did you open the gate first or you drove straight through it?
No.
I tease him.
I took off the gate a few years ago.
There you go.
So I don't have to come out and open gate. No, rain or shine, I just drive in.
We're ready. Yeah, I hear you, man.
and my space is reserved.
You have your reserved parking space, huh? I tell you.
Yeah. Yes, sir. I've been listening about this attitude towards what you eat and how you behave.
Yes, sir.
Exercise-wise,
Yes, sir.
And then while I've been listening from nearly more than an hour now. I listened from Bernie and Chris Rowan. And just when I almost reached home, I had a flashback. It is a flashback. It's about a seminar I went to in California years ago. But it had to do with health, wellness, and fitness.
Okay.
And the main speaker was a doctor, consultant. So it was like, and also when you look at him, this man was like almost 60-year-old, but he looked like he was 25. His weight was good. He was one of them here that said, practice what you preach.
Yeah.
Well, nobody needed to tell him that. But what I remembered when this last gentleman was talking to you is what the doctor told us. And he said that the hardest thing for a person is when you don't feel ill. Not that he's recommending that people go out there and try to get ill. But if you look at yourself and you see your size, you check your charts and all of it, and you say you're 50 pounds overweight, but you're feeling good, you can run still, you can do everything, swim and fish and all. He said that's your worst enemy, the way you feel. But because what happened, you're not doing anything to counteract what you should, because obviously if you're over 50 pounds, you're gone way overweight, but you're not feeling bad. Yeah. And then what he said we should do is like, especially people in jobs like yours, maybe mine, where you're always being invited to these functions. And one of the main parts of the function is the time when you dine. And you don't, they just come around and you get this load of food. But if you are doing that almost weekly, and then when you go home, people who cook, they cook what the thing the people like.
Right.
And you sit and you eat at the table and everything. So you're not really giving yourself a chance to get into top shape, even if you do exercise.
Exactly.
So what you do when you go to the banquet, instead of eating an 8-ounce or 6-ounce steak, you eat 2 ounces of steak.
Mm.
And instead of eating a whole lobster tail, you eat a half an ounce, that kind of way. So at the end of the banquet, when everybody is socializing and talking and they say, oh, did you try the steak? Did you try the grilled chicken? Did you try the lobster? Did you try this? And you say, oh, yes. And how was it? It was great. It was great. But if they ask the question, how is it that your weight is always so, you always have your weight controlled and you play your tennis, you do everything else the same way. And the important thing is that you control your portion.
Moderation,
portion control.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, now you do your regular. And I had a doctor who used to say, if you work in Georgetown, he said Georgetown is a great place to work. You park your car a good distance outside of Georgetown. Take your umbrella with you and your briefcase and walk to work.
Mm-hmm.
So that's twice every day. And if you go to lunch, it's going to be 4 times for the day.
You're right, man. You're right.
So even if when you go home in the evening, you might carry home some work with you. But already you have done 4 distances for the day.
Right.
And then weekend you can go some longer distance if you so desire.
Yeah.
But those are the, believe it or not, those are the practical ways by which the man, and like I said, he was a consultant.
Mm-hmm. But he practiced what he preached.
Working in Los Angeles and Sacramento.
Something I want to ask of you, if you can. I mean, as you said, it was health, wellness, and then exercise and get physically, active.
Yeah.
Your example of parking and walking. I'm hoping there's some, I call them entrepreneurs, Cayman entrepreneurs who are. I've had a chance to chat with. They have this product that they're looking. I'm hoping that I'll be able to encourage them to come on and talk about it, because not only will it be good for their business, but it'll be helpful for many of us who have the jobs that you just described, where we're sitting at our desk. Now, while you're sitting down, if there's a mechanism where maybe it's just your legs and you can pedal and you can do something, it may make you at least somewhat active.
Yeah.
If I can ask you though, given our current lifestyle, our habits that we have here in this country, I believe there are too many of us who would, when you said, well, we're not going to park as far away, not as close as we could, all right?
Yeah.
They're going to object to that, who are saying, I would like very much to find time to exercise, but geez, that's difficult because I work until this time, then I have to go do this after work, and then I got to go home and I have these things to do, whether it's the cooking, whether it's the children. What is it that you think, and how, if we can?
What is that?
What is it that we can do, and how can we do it to make sure that we develop a society that has this ethos, that we're physically active, that we make time to exercise, to go play the tennis, to go outside and knock the ball around with the family, with the friends? Because right now, we're not physically active. I mean, we're very, sedentary.
Yeah. But there's some things you can do, For example, all right, you see how you work in the studio there now?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
if you stop working at, say, 5 o'clock, instead of hitting the car by 5 past 5,
mm-hmm.
you, at your office, you have, some dumbbells and skipping rope, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure you could find a spot somewhere there in a common room or somewhere. Yeah. And even, believe it or not, if you spend half an hour in that office doing that with your weight, for your chest exercise with the dumbbells, and your arm exercise, and then you're skipping rope, things like those. Or you can walk from where you are. If you walk down to the cricket field,
mm-hmm.
that's another place. Or drive down to the cricket field.
Yeah.
And you give yourself 15 minutes on the circuit, the perimeter.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a walking track right there by the middle school. Right, we cross it many of us every day, twice a day.
Yeah. And if and wherever you are, they have this play field. I mean, I drive past. I live in Bordentown. I have to pass the Bordentown school every day.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't see anybody walking there, although 1 and 2, when I say 1 and 2, and the ones who I see walking are the people who don't need to shed the weight. But I have never counted a dozen people in that schoolyard walking.
Yeah. But, and I hope that what we discussed today, and I certainly appreciate you sort of put it in the capstone on it, is that we are perhaps willing, we're desirous, but we're not seemingly able to get to that point where we're motivated before something happens to make ourselves physically active. I hope that people don't take this the wrong way, but I remember deliberately, very consciously, not that long ago, I would walk from my place where I was working to a distance. Now, understand that we live in a society where at least we have one cell phone. Some of us have more than two. We got good friends and family that are going in the same direction that we go, and we can easily communicate with them and say, listen, I'm going to walk for a distance, and when you see me, you can pick me up. I would do that. And I would have people call me or stop me or see me the next day and say, well, you lost your license, or are you too cheap to buy a car? Or I'm saying I'm just walking for a little sunshine, for a little exercise to de-stress. We look at that as something has negatively happened, as opposed to it being something positive that we're trying to influence. So that 15 minutes, I may not have had to go walk on the track, but I could walk on the $500,000 sidewalks that we paid for how many years ago, a short distance, while a family member would arrange to pick me up, depending on how far I got and how fast I was able to walk. So is that the problem then, that we have this perception that people don't have to be physically active to be healthy? That if you're doing these things, that something obviously has happened that you need to correct, as opposed to prevention being better than cure?
Yeah, it's important. And then another thing, the same thing you talk about there, somebody coming and picking you up. If the person loves to walk, and what you could do to suggest to somebody, like if you leave in your place to go and walk, you could suggest to somebody that you suspect could lose some weight, and you tell them what you're doing, and what you're saying it should really come from your heart. You don't want to, you want to say something. And then, because I found that out, like one time when I changed my job and started doing a desk work, because most of my life I work on my feet, so I was always on the move. And that whatever the children are doing, I would do it with them. So I didn't send them out there to do track or football or so on.
You went with them?
Or run. I did everything with them. And so, in fact, one of them said, sir, you could play with us, And so that's what I'm doing right now.
That's right, man.
But then, later on, when I changed the job, and my tailor in Jamaica, we know each other from boyhood days. I went into college, he went into learn tailoring. I went to him, and my waist went up sterling to from 28. Even when I became a young man and working, my waist was still like what it was at high school, 26, 28. So when I went to Jamaica, I said to the guy, I carried down the pants materials with me. And I said, I need you to build these pants at waist 28. And his waist was about 38. The man laughed at me, say, who's going to wear them? I said, I am going to wear them. And he said, any day you get a chance to wear them and you come to Jamaica, come look for me. But wear the pants when you're coming. Now, remember I said this was my very good friend from school days.
Right.
Like when I gave him pants to maid, when I went to pick up my pants, I got shirts and belts and handkerchiefs, everything to match the things. People thought I was spending a lot of money on clothes. But the guy used to fit me up. And when I went back there, I had bought a pair of jeans, waist 30. I know, even though I'm talking to you, I'm wearing those jeans. I have to be wearing belt with the jeans.
Good for you, man. Good for you. You had a motivation, right?
You see.
Yeah,
but
man.
I had to do it, Sterling, because what happened to me, let me tell you the truth now. My weight was all right. When I say all right, because I was like weight 35 pounds, 135, and the doctor told me nothing was wrong with the weight. But something is wrong otherwise.
Yeah.
I said, what's wrong otherwise? It's not your diabetes. You're not diabetic. You don't have any prostate cancer. Because I was chairman for the prostate cancer committee.
Yes,
so I had to go talk to people like Dr. Lynn and Dr. Tomlinson, and they were my resource persons when we do the community services. So I said, boy, you want to practice what you preach. So I did what they told me to do. But what happened to me, Lions Club had hosted this thing that they're having this weekend, where you would go get your blood pressure test and your sugar and all these things. When the nurse tested me, she started calling the other nurses and said, come and look at this man trying to kill himself. I said, why are you doing that? She said, because if I don't do it, you're not going to get your high blood pressure under control. Because you're feeling fit, you're feeling good. And that was what made me change Sterling. What that lady did to me that day.
I'm glad you were able to do that, man. And thank you for sharing. And as we continue, maybe in this whole vein of looking at our health as our wealth, respectfully, sir, thank you so much for sharing.
The moment you cite that something isn't feeling too right in your body, don't sit on it.
Yes. Well, maybe that would apply to me and others who would stop ignoring those things, sir. Have a good afternoon, sir. And enjoy your time out. Be active. Hey, to our listeners, Miss Susan is saying, listen, you'll talk at 3 o'clock. If you leave, you don't. I'm very much appreciative of you taking time and sharing with us. For those of you who have listened and tuned in, thank you. If you see an opportunity to get healthy, and then as the last caller said, whether it's a friend, maybe it's a new acquaintance, politely, respectfully, but directly share with them, hey, maybe come walking with me. Maybe look after our health. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman in particular, through their PACE event specifically, been trying to encourage men, but not only men, to get active and to look after the things. Well, let's measure health as a wealth. We've seen the great work that the Lions Club of Tropical Gardens, I believe we would say that they were the pioneers when it came to this idea of making a public health drive. They focused initially on breast cancer, and now we've seen other initiatives. Let's measure our health by our wealth. Tomorrow's another day. Our prayers will be a part of it. Please join Mr. Art Conn in the morning for the record. Stay tuned for all of our programming. Come back for Talk Today right after the midday news and midday meditation. We're hoping to be able to share with you someone who is from the soil, who has been absent for 7 decades or so. And maybe this is the first visit to the country in that time. You imagine the perspective and the change? Well, I'm excited to find out more. So hopefully we'll have that conversation and you'll join us for it. Now, can I say to you, if you want to hear a good song, just call Miss Susan. Our request line, 949-6990. You can WhatsApp it, if that's easier, 925-32621. And she'll play it for you. Hey, listen, we got the best on-air talent. We got the best studio. We got the best people. Why don't you just listen to us all the time? Until tomorrow, be blessed.